This is Shari Graffunder, agricultural education instructor. Let's get started. How did you end up at River Valley High School, and how long have you been here?
So how did I end up at River Valley? I actually interviewed across the state when I got my degree. I had the honor of being asked to either come to River Valley or Green Bay, and I chose River Valley because the program could grow, and it was a lot like my home district, where Green Bay was cutting the next year, and they already were making that announcement. So that's why I chose River Valley, and this is my 24th year here.
What is your role with the FFA?
My role with the FFA currently locally is the FFA advisor. At the state level, I am serving on the FFA Center Board representing sections 3 and 4, so that's anywhere from Arcadia down to the border, and then we're the highest of the northeast section of section 4, so I represent both sections. And then for Ag Ed, I represent Wisconsin as far as the NAAE board, and I'm the regional secretary for Region 3. So over the years, I've been very active with many things with the FFA, because I think in order for the students to get what they want, we need to be there to advocate for them. So I've served on many boards. I've been a past WAAE president, which is the state of Wisconsin, and then just found more roles to do on the national committee just so that the kids can have more opportunities.
Besides teaching, what job would you be really good at?
That's a good question. I always wanted to be a veterinarian when I was young. Something in the medical field would be second nature to me because I'm usually nursing some injury somewhere.
What do you like best about your job?
For me, what do I like best? I would say the students that I get to work with. I like the opportunity to travel, and then also just the camaraderie amongst all the Ag Ed teachers. We're typically the only people in our district, so to have that support network for the ag teachers is awesome. So I really do like my colleagues.
Are you usually early or late?
Depends on the day. If it's with my husband, we're early because he sets me, tells me half an hour ahead of time. If it's me, I'm running on time or late.
If you could make one rule that everyone had to follow, what rule would you make?
Be kind. I like the Tim McGraw song with kindness in it, and I just wish more people would be kind and help others out when in need. I think most of us struggle when you are in trouble, and we don't share that because we see that as a weakness, where if we shared our burdens, maybe the load would be lighter and we could all be more successful.
What's your favorite animal?
Ooh, I grew up with the nickname Share Bear, so my favorite animal would be pretty much a koala. I know we don't say bear in that, but otherwise I do like the chinchillas if we're talking my backroom animals. So we have a ton of animals in the back room, so the chinchillas are my favorite.
What do you like to do in your free time?
That's a good question. I don't get a lot of free time, so the free time that I do get, I spend with family or reading or watching series on TV. That's what I do in my free time.
What makes a good life?
Good life, for most people, I would say a good life would be balanced. So having that time with family, having that time to work, enjoying the outdoors when you can. For me, I have all of that. I get to travel to many different places, so I think just having that break from work every once in a while and having fun with the people that are your co-workers or your students, it just brings out a different light, so you get to see different people and different lights, and it just helps. So I just like that.
What would be the most amazing adventure to go on?
I have always wanted to go to Australia. So I want to go down there and see the kangaroos and just be down there. I was envious because a couple of my students have traveled abroad for agriculture studies, and that's where they've gone. So it'd just be amazing for me to travel down there and see what it's like on the opposite end of the world.
What are 3 interesting facts about you?
I knew you were going to ask me this question, and I was thinking ahead of time. Well, I even talked to my mom on the phone on this one. So, interesting facts. I grew up in a school district quite a lot like this. I grew up in Rosendale, Brandon, so it's a combined school district. Small town of Van Dyne, which is right between Oshkosh and Fond du Lac. I lived on the county line. We grew up on a farm. When I grew up, I was milking 220 cows. My dad and his brothers were managing over 3,000 acres of land. So we were a good sized farm back then. So we didn't have a lot of free time. Another interesting fact, I received my American degree, which is the highest degree we can achieve in the FFA as an FFA member. And I guess another interesting fact is my husband and I have no children, we just have fur babies, so that's what we collect and raise and just work with. So I guess those are my top 3 for personal.
What skill would you like to master?
Ooh, skill that I'd like to master. Yeah. Probably to improve some of my sutures, I guess. That would be one of the things that I'd like to work on. Animal science, I just had the kids practicing, but I'd like to improve on that skill myself to be able to help more students in the future with vet science.
Can you tell me about where you grew up?
So Van Dyne is where I grew up. It's a very, very small town. One side of 41 has half the town, and we were on the suburban side of Van Dyne, if you can call it a suburb. And the town was under 490 people. My parents and I raised us on the dairy farm. We lived just off of the dairy farm. My uncle actually lived on the farm. And then after we were foreclosed on in the late 80s, we had the opportunity, when I say we, my brother and I raised beef cattle. So I showed beef cattle for my high school career. I was very active in the FFA. When I left our FFA program, I was very blessed with a lot of scholarships and a lot of potential, because I was either going vet science or ag ed, and I knew it was ag ed after going on all the trips people sponsored for me, because when we lost the farm, we were in bankruptcy. So I understood the poverty world pretty well, but I was very fortunate for a few people in the community supported us. And after that, I worked at Copp's Bakery, and then I went off to River Falls and worked 3 to 4 jobs throughout my college tenure. And that's where I grew up and advanced to. And then I went to Marathon to do an internship, Menominee to do an internship, and then a long-term sub in Marathon. And then I came here.
What is one of your favorite smells?
Oh, one of my favorite smells. Probably the cooking of beef stew. My husband does a good job of beef tips, I guess I should say, not the stew part, the beef tips. So coming home and knowing that's my favorite comfort meal when I've had a bad day, I think that's the best smell. Second would be flowers. I have different flowers that I like to smell.
That was my last question. Is there anything else you would like to say?
I think I'm good. You've asked me a lot of questions, so thank you very much for your time.
Thank you for your time.
See, when I travel places, the funny part is, they'll say Graffunder, and sometimes I don't respond, because, all my college buddies will say Nimitz, and I'm turn. Eric Niederkreiner was traveling with me one day, and he's just like, if she doesn't answer, just call her Shari. And I was walking, and he's like, Share Bear. I'm like, what? And he goes, I knew I could get you. And I was like, why do you tell people that? Well, yeah, they soon figured out I'd answered to Nimitz. I'm like, well, I had Nimitz for how many years? Graffunder was still fresh when I came down here, so. Because literally, the time I came down, I got married just before I came to River Valley. So
is this your first?
First job, yeah. So yeah, when I worked at Marathon, I was shocked because the ag budget was $10,000, and she's like, "Oh, you still have $5,000 to spend," and I was like, "Oh, awesome," and you don't have to pay all the taxes, as much taxes and all the other things, healthcare and that, when you're subbing. So then when I came down here and they took all that fun stuff out, I was like, "Oh, health insurance? That's how much?" But So, and everybody's like, what? And I'm like, I actually made more subbing up there, but that's a very rich district. That's like Lake Geneva down here for us. And so it was an eye-opening experience of how Wisconsin can be so diverse and that category as far as, that. But I loved it because I came down here and I was like, it's home. It's a second home. And so, yes, my mom probably knows more of these kids by name than any. Like, she's like, oh, how's Tiffany doing today? And I'm like, well, we're doing it. So, but yeah, she'll say her grandkids.
Does she still live there?
Yeah, she lives just in south of Oshkosh, so yeah, Van Dyne. She's still our second house, so when the farm was foreclosed on, we had to move off all the properties that the farm owned. So we ended up being able to buy a neighbor's house at the time. So, and I don't know how my parents did it. I know my brother and I paid a few mortgages here and there because we sold some cattle and stuff like that, and successful, but that's what you do to get by. And so it was unique. And my sister was a teen mom, so that's the one that came after me, so that was even more of a shock of life. And everybody's like, how do you handle like teaching? Because when I got married, it was a 98-degree day, and it was just boiling, and my preacher was just like talking, and he's dripping sweat from his chin, and he looks at me, and I'm like, so I need to light the candles now, so you need to move out of the way. And I'm like, okay, pastor, this is what we need to do. And he's like, he walked up to my mom, he goes, I've never seen such a cool bride. What's her secret? Mom goes, she tells me she teaches middle school. I was like, well, yeah, after, kids have all this stuff, I'm like, all right, if you just take a deep breath, and you can't they're already worked up, you don't need to add to their situation, so it works well.